The airport was loud, bright, and full of motion, yet for Adrian Vale, it felt eerily silent. Sunlight poured through the massive glass windows of the terminal, bouncing off polished floors and rolling suitcases, but none of it reached him. He sat alone on a steel bench, expensive suit perfectly pressed, briefcase resting beside him like a loyal guard, and eyes fixed on the departure board that kept changing destinations he no longer cared about. In a place built for movement and beginnings, Adrian felt completely stuck, as if his life had paused while the world rushed past him. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet miracles that happen when strangers cross paths, take a moment right now to like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this matter because they remind us we are never as alone as we think. Adrian Vale was known to the world as a brilliant CEO, the man who turned a struggling tech company into a global powerhouse before the age of 45. Magazines praised his vision, analysts admired his discipline, and employees feared his cold efficiency. But none of them knew the cost. Success had taken everything else. His marriage had collapsed under the weight of endless meetings and emotional distance. His only son had stopped calling years ago, tired of being rescheduled like a forgotten appointment. That morning, Adrian wasn't flying to close a deal or deliver a keynote speech. He was flying because he didn't know where else to go. The night before, he had signed papers that finalized the sale of the company he built from nothing. The victory felt hollow. The office that once buzzed with ambition now echoed with memories he wanted to escape. So he booked the first daytime flight out of the city, not caring where it landed. The airport became his temporary refuge, a place where no one expected anything from him except a boarding pass and an ID. As Adrian sat there, surrounded by families laughing, couples hugging, and children pulling at tired parents' hands, a small presence stopped in front of him. He barely noticed at first. Then he felt it, the strange sensation of being truly seen. When he looked down, he saw a little girl, no older than 7, holding a stuffed rabbit with one ear stitched back on. She had messy braids, sneakers with worn soles, and eyes that carried a seriousness far beyond her age. She looked at him without fear or hesitation, her head tilted slightly, as if studying a puzzle. Her question came softly, innocent yet heavy with meaning. She asked if he was lost too. Adrian was caught off guard. No one ever asked him questions like that. People usually asked for signatures, approvals, or explanations. Lost was not a word anyone associated with him. Yet in that moment, it felt painfully accurate. He tried to smile it away, but something broke inside him. Instead of brushing her off, he answered honestly, admitting that yes, he was lost, though he didn't know how he had ended up that way. The girl nodded as if this confirmed something she already knew. She climbed onto the bench beside him without waiting for permission, legs swinging, rabbit tucked safely under her arm. She explained, in her own simple way, that airports were full of lost people. Some were lost because they missed their flights, others because they missed someone they loved, and some because they forgot where they were going in the first place. Adrian felt his chest tighten. This child was saying out loud the thoughts he had been burying for years. As the terminal buzzed around them, the girl talked about her own situation. She and her mother were traveling to see her grandmother, who had fallen ill. Her father wasn't coming because he worked far away and couldn't get time off. She said it casually, but the loneliness underneath was unmistakable. Adrian saw himself in her words, always choosing work, always believing there would be time later. He learned her name was Mira. She had a habit of observing people, imagining stories about them to pass the time. She thought he looked like someone who used to smile more. That simple observation struck him harder than any boardroom criticism ever had. He realized he couldn't remember the last time he smiled without forcing it. Time moved strangely after that. Flights were announced, crowds shifted, but Adrian stayed where he was. He listened as Mira talked about school, about wanting to become an artist, about how her grandmother taught her that being kind was a way of finding your way back when you were lost. Each word peeled away layers of his carefully built armor. For the first time in years, he wasn't Adrian Vale, CEO. He was just a man sitting in an airport, listening to a child who unknowingly held up a mirror to his soul. Myra's mother soon returned from a nearby counter, relief washing over her face when she saw her daughter safe. She thanked Adrian politely, assuming he was just another kind stranger. Mira waved goodbye with a seriousness that felt like a promise rather than a farewell. As they walked away, she turned back once more, reminding him not to forget where he wanted to go, not just where his ticket said he was headed. When Adrian's boarding call finally echoed through the terminal, he stood up slowly. His legs felt heavy, as if resisting the old patterns. He looked at the ticket in his hand, then at the direction Mira had gone. Something inside him shifted. Instead of heading to the gate, he walked to the airline desk and changed his flight. He chose a destination close to the small town where his son lived, a place he had avoided out of guilt and fear. The plane took off under a clear blue sky, sunlight flooding the cabin. As the city shrank below, Adrian felt a mix of terror and hope. He spent the flight replaying Mira's words, realizing how lost he had been, measuring success in numbers instead of moments. He drafted an email to his son but deleted it again and again, unsure how to bridge years of silence. By the time the plane landed, he knew he couldn't hide behind words. He needed to show up. The following days were not easy. His son, Caleb, was guarded, skeptical of sudden interest. The wounds of absence do not heal overnight. Adrian stayed anyway. He attended a school play, awkwardly sitting in the back. He helped fix a leaky sink, something he hadn't done in decades. He listened more than he spoke. Slowly, painfully, trust began to grow. Each shared meal, each quiet conversation felt like reclaiming a piece of himself he thought was gone forever. Weeks later, Adrian found himself back at the same airport, this time not running away but heading somewhere with intention. He carried no briefcase, only a small backpack. As he waited near the gate, he scanned the crowd, half expecting to see a familiar pair of braids and a stitched rabbit. He never did, but her presence lingered all the same. He realized then that being lost wasn't a failure. It was an invitation to pause, to listen, to let unexpected voices guide you back to what matters. A little girl in an airport had done what success, wealth, and ambition never could. She had reminded him how to be human again. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you of someone you've been meaning to reach out to, please take a moment to like this video, share it with others, and let us know in the comments how it made you feel. Your engagement helps keep stories like this alive. Before the ending, we have a special request. Please comment the word lost if you believe that sometimes being lost is how we find our true path. As Adrian boarded his flight, sunlight once again streaming through the windows, he smiled. A real smile this time. He wasn't lost anymore. And he knew that somewhere, in another airport filled with strangers and stories, a little girl was still asking the right questions, helping people find their way home.